Tears of the Kingdom presents a laundry list of side content, and though I did not spend much of my playthrough digging into it, there was one side quest that stood out in terms of its charm. I am of course speaking of the Great Fairy questline, a questline that involves seeking the help of a nomadic troupe of musicians in order to serenade the fairies out of their pods. We learn from our winged friend Pen's conversation with the maestro of the group that the Zelda likeness we've been seeing all over Hyrule scared the fairies into hiding, and in the process ran the troop's wagon off the road and left it too damaged to traverse. Once you fix their wagon, you are able to pull it with one of your horses to the local fairy bud, and the maestro is able to conduct his one remaining member of the troupe, Violin, to play a lovely tune that brings the fairy out of her shell. I'll give you one guess what instrument she plays. The maestro is a boisterous little man with a great ability to encourage the talent of his troupe members, and he proceeds to praise Violin for her skills. When I saw this, I was so charmed by the wholesome good nature of these characters that I just had to see where getting the band back together would lead. From there, you are given 3 other fairy locations. Conveniently, all of these locations are placed by stables in the 4 corners of Hyrule. If you approach each bud, you can hear the fairy tell you what kind of musical instrument would cheer her out of her frightened state. This was a nice touch to get some foreshadowing before chatting up the maestro yet again so he can tell you the whereabouts of each member needed for each fairy. The first member I sought was a drummer named Beats, with 2 E's, who had an insatiable appetite for honey. Gotta love a good one-dimensional Nintendo side character with a pun for a name. The man is in need of honeycomb to make honey crepes, and of course sends you on a journey to get riddled with bee stings, but it's so worth it to hear the excited inflection of his upbeat voice. Once you return to the troupe's bandstand, you find that this time you have to cross a river with their carriage, turning it into a boat. The strangely hilarious part about this is that somehow the wheels have fallen off the wagon again, and it is worthless without your assistance. But hey, they're good at making music, not repairs. And driving, apparently. You once again help the troupe find their way to the next musical number, and listen as the song gets more layered, with more musical instruments. Your reward is some money, and access to yet another fairy. Also, hey, you have already helped half of them, so you might as well continue, right? Next on the roster, we meet a boy in a tree named Piper. I'll give you one guess as to what he plays. You beckon him to come join his old troupe, but alas, Piper cannot leave without fulfilling the wishes of his girl crush in the local stable to see a glowing tree? Piper sends you searching for fireflies, so he can surprise her with a serenade that will cause the whole tree to spring to life with the light of 100 bugs. All this just to make a little girl ecstatic. This is so cute, and really highlights the humanity of yet another member of this wholesome troupe. I cannot help but smile at the realistic boyish flirting of Piper, especially when he sends Link to bring the girl out to him in secrecy, to make the surprise all the more spontaneous. All I can say is, this was adorable. On return to the troupe, we once again had to repair the wagon, but this time turning it into an off-roading vehicle. This was the first time I learned what consequences flipping the wagon had. Once we made our way up, the troupe once again did their thing, making the music even more engaging and layered. After a couple upgrades from the ferry, it was time to go to the last location, in the snowy north. This time you are sent to find Eustace, a horn player, who ends up driving his wagon into a hole. I guess the joke here was the track record for wagon care with these guys, I tell ya. The quest here is probably the simplest, to lift Eustace and his wagon out of the hole. A little balloon action and some Ultra Hand? No problem. Funny enough, his gift to you for pulling him out is the exact amount of honey you need for Beats. I guess I messed up the order a little, but whatever. The goal is nearly complete. After adding a little weather protection to a surprisingly intact wagon this time, we are off to get the final fairy to fear no more. After one more tumble, we were ready to hear the whole band perform at full capacity, and I was able to just sit back and enjoy the fruits of my labor. It felt like I had done something for real personalities, and all they wanted was to bring joy to some fairies, and to gaze upon their massive, beauty. The maestro once again gives you a handsome money reward, leaving him with empty pockets, as he put it. Each of the band members proceeds to thank you for restoring not only their confidence, but their drive to bring beautiful music to all the surrounding lands. Each of them has so much joy and innocent sincerity that you can't help but blush a little at how sweet this whole experience has been. This quest might be one of the most wholesome Zelda side quests I've seen, and it brought me back to the charm of solving normal people's problems along the way on past Zelda adventures. It felt like a truly Zelda adventure to go on, which was refreshing in a game as unstructured as Tears of the Kingdom, and it will not be one that I soon forget.